Planning and Development Committee meeting for April 21st, 2025. Counselor Andrews.
Here.
Gwaltney.
Here.
Wolverton.
Here.
Sims.
Here.
Nelms.
Here.
Everybody's here.
Okay, I will begin with a motion to dispense with the reading and approve the minutes from April 7th. Woohoo! Okay, I heard Gwaltney and Nelms is what I heard.
I think
So
everybody's
I'm
trying
gonna
to
go with
set
Gwaltney
an order
Nelms.
tonight.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and we're all here, so that's 5-0. Okay. There's gonna be a lot of reading and carrying over, so just want everyone to know. Okay, old business, 120225, request for consideration to rezone property at 101 to 109 Hughes Circle, consisting of 9 residential lots, comprising of 7 acres, brought to us from Cale Smith, carried over. I believe I will have some news for you in 2 weeks. So we will do something with this in 2 weeks. So we will possibly move it to the table, or there are all kinds of possibilities. So I will let you know that we will have some information in 2 weeks. 130225 request. Oh,
Can I say one thing?
yes.
I think I said this to the council. There are 2 items on the agenda, but there's only one ordinance, because you can't have the final development approved unless you rezone the property.
Okay.
So they're all in one.
So it should be one item?
It should be one item, because they'll be approved simultaneously in one ordinance. That's the same thing for the next couple things.
That comes out. That's the way it comes out. When we hear it at the planning commission, we hear it separately.
That's up to Fred, I guess.
Okay. That's how it comes out.
It doesn't need to come that way.
Okay. All right.
We can fix that.
Okay. 130225 request for consideration for a final development plan at 101 to 109 Hughes Circle, consisting of 9 residential lots. Also from Mr. Smith, also carried over. Again, we're going to carry this one over as well without objection. Okay, new business. 080425 request to provide an update on the Complete Streets Committee. Mr. Smith and Councilor Sims. And I believe, Brian, you've got a presentation for us.
Yeah, that's right. So we've been working with Matt, Councilor Sims and I have. This is Matt Lovell. He's our Complete Streets Committee Chair.
Great.
And he has put together this presentation.
Awesome.
Hi, Matt Lovell. I've been a resident of Homewood since 2010. I know a couple of you, but not all of you, so glad to be here. Chair of the, it's not new, but recently getting organized, Complete Streets Committee. So I just want to introduce myself and sort of give you an update on where we are. Could you go to the next slide, please? This is the policy that you gave us, this nice, all-inclusive, everything policy. If you could go to the next slide. This is the way that we interpret it. All Homewood citizens deserve a transportation network that supports a safe and inviting environment for them and visitors to enjoy our community. So this is the statement that we have in our head as we're working through this. If you could go to the next one. These are the 5 items that you provided us as the purpose. To stick with the pattern, if you go to the next one, we simplified that into really 3 steps. What we want to do is we want to recommend a priority network of complete streets. We want to define the success metrics for that network, and then we want to share, communicate, and talk to you on it. I think the main thing here is that, sorry, if you can go back, we are just recommending on that priority network. And the idea here is not that we're saying that the entire city needs to be a collection of complete streets, but that there are places in our city that would benefit from them. Okay. There's 8 of us on the committee, and we're supporting the technical oversight committee. These are this is us. So you'll know who's here. Eric might walk in a few minutes.
He's going to roll off in August. Randall, just for point of reference, Randall's going to roll off when his term expires in August. So we'll talk to the mayor about a new BJCTA representative.
Okay, great. I think they'll be really important to what we're doing.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
So that's too bad. In terms of the data that we're looking at, these were the items that were provided inside the resolution. I won't read through them, but these are, I think they are provided examples. They're not the requirements. So this is starting to get into the metrics that we'll use from a success standpoint or a progress standpoint. You can see they get at, really quantitative information around total miles, numbers of certain things. And then improvements made. You can go to the next one. So our goals over the next few months are to take that data, take what we know, begin pulling it together into a priority network map that we can use as a basis for conversation. That would be a visual map, not just a list of streets. And then come up with a series of success metrics that take that data and begin to translate it and connect it to that network so we can look at what success looks like for us as a community. That comprehensive plan process that the RFP just went out for, I think will be really critical for the success of Complete Streets in our community. It's a great opportunity to have conversations with the community and get input about the places that they think are important and resolve that with the y'all's priorities or your priorities. And then we want to work with the Technical Oversight Committee to sort of identify some of the data needs that will support those policy goals. There's a lot of data out there, but there's some that's missing that we think will help us all do a better job of evaluating what we need. Things like that the map might resolve in terms of continuous miles and things like that. And I'll say a lot of that is around setting a baseline that we're measuring against. So it's not just about giving you data and saying, hey, look what we did, but being able to have a baseline of information that we can measure it against. And then next. So the next steps sort of reflect those goals. We're working on that base map for the network. We will draft a series of success metrics based on that data. We'd like to, review that with anyone in this room that's interested and receive input from you, not just the committee, but anybody on the council. Y'all are the ones that know your community the best. And then the two pieces of information that we want to look at as a starting point are the sidewalk inventory and the road paving list. We just got a copy of the paving list late last week, and then the sidewalk inventories.
I have an updated paving list that I got today that I'll share.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and then the sidewalk inventory will hopefully be complete in the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay. The sidewalk inventory is a great thing. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about in terms of basis for information and then how do you do improvements around that. So we're looking forward to getting both of those. But those are the next 4 things that we're going to be working on over the next few months as we kick into summer. I think that's it. So that's just a quick update and introduction to myself. Happy to answer any questions or just hear anything that y'all want to tell me.
We know I work with Carolyn. We share an office.
Yeah.
So I was out last week at Ruffner Mountain, and so there's some new bollards that are in the bike lanes, and they're like not the white things that whip around, but they're actual, like they're about this high and they're about this big around. And there were people using bike lanes all over 81st Street headed up to Ruffner Mountain. So Carolyn, I voice texted Carolyn and Kale from the road, and so, if you get out by Ruffner Mountain, take a look on 81st and tell us what you think about those. But
yeah, I'm excited about it.
And they haven't had anybody like hit them or knock them over or anything, so.
So win.
I've worked on a variety of trails projects over the years, and little wins like that are actually big wins at the end of the day. So
exactly.
I'm excited to see that stuff happen.
Good, awesome. Anybody else have questions?
Thank you for
Can I
being
ask
here.
a question?
Yes, of course.
Is there a budget for you guys? Did we give you money?
No.
The
I
volunteer
don't remember.
service, that's
Okay.
excellent.
We're volunteer. I mean, there shouldn't be cost with a lot of this work unless, there's something around data that's necessary. But that's the only thing.
It's
Now we're
advisory
happy.
to the council, they can always request if they need it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, sure.
I don't remember.
Well, thank you for that
Yeah,
work.
thank
That's
you so
awesome.
much. Yeah, we appreciate you. And, if you would, as far as getting input from the council, maybe send us all an introductory email or something so we all have your contact information, and that way, and you have ours, and that way we can communicate with you on that.
That'd be great.
Copy
Happy to
Kale
do it.
and all that good stuff. Awesome.
Thanks, Matt.
Glenn, sorry. Yep, Glenn. Yep, sorry, Glenn. Not got there yet. Okay, yeah, but if you, somehow connect everybody, so if city councilors have.
We're sitting down tomorrow morning and get to know each other.
Okay,
and I'll
perfect.
make sure he's got my information and can share it with everybody.
That's correct. Yeah, meaning, I'm just saying, if you all are looking for input from us, we would need your contact information for
Right,
that, so,
right.
yeah, perfect.
Kale, are they part and parcel that when we talked about maybe the parking study downtown or whatever, is that?
No, that's not complete streets.
you so much, Matt.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thank
All
you.
right, great. Okay, so, do we drop that item because we've heard it? We don't need a,
Maybe motion to accept the presentation and then just send it to consent agenda? Would
Yeah.
that be appropriate, or?
I think so.
okay.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
so
all.
motion from Counselor
Second.
Sims, second from Counselor Wolverton. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes 5-0. Okay, let's see, 090425, I'm gonna take these all in one fell swoop, if that's okay, Mr. Kendrick. 090425, request for consideration of rezone 1601 Parkview Lane and 600 and 601 University Park Place from P mixed use to mixed use. 100425, request for consideration of a final development plan for property at 1601 Parkview Lane and 600 601 University Park Place. 110425, request for consideration of rezone 1891, 1919, and 1921 South Lake Shore Drive and 1100 University Park Place from P mixed to institutional. And 120425, request for consideration of a final development plan at 1891, 1919, and 1921 South Lake Shore and 1100 University Park Place. Without objection, I'm going to carry those items over.
Are we consolidating them too, like Mr. Kendrick said?
If they're on the agenda already, Mr. Kendrick, how do you?
Well, when you adopt it, you'll adopt one ordinance. You
Okay.
can have it any way you like.
Nope, we're gonna leave them as is.
And Counselor Andrews, is there any information about why they're continuing to be carried over?
Yes, they are working with folks to address some of the issues that have been brought up in the community, and they put together a really nice, amazing group of folks for an advisory board, and they've had their first meeting. And
17 people.
yeah, it's big, and it's all the names that you would want to be on that committee. And I think that they are continuing to have some meetings and try to address some of the issues that have been brought up. So since we don't have, we're gonna set that public hearing for June the 9th, and since we're gonna do that, we no need to hear it before the kinda.
But it's nothing that would cause it to have to go back to P&D. They're not doing any design changes or major changes to their
will-
plans, or?
I don't think we know what.
Yeah, I think they were trying to figure all that out right now, so.
But would we go ahead and set, I mean, if
We
we're
are
going
setting the
ahead and
public
setting
hearing for
dates?
June 9th, so,
Okay.
so
Okay.
I'm not gonna hear it in this committee until June 2nd, so.
Understand,
Yeah,
okay.
that's my plan. I mean, it'll be.
Changes, but not, we
Potentially,
don't think.
maybe,
Okay.
yeah, but, and remember, there's all these, there's different moving parts, so, yeah, potentially, for sure, yeah, so we'll see.
And I guess we would maintain the public hearing even if they do end up with substantive changes that force it back to.
Well, remember, there's 4 items, so they could change, I mean, they could change 3 of them and keep 1, you know what I mean, like, it just depends on, so. And I will just point out that the zoning on the east side is non-conforming at this time anyway, they're using it institutionally, so that, you know, it's like, just as an example, something we can still move forward with. If that makes sense.
So one
just trying to
parcel
keep
is
the-
not gonna have a zoning change?
No, I didn't mean to bring anything up, I'm
Okay,
just saying, I'm
okay.
saying I don't mean to get all into this, but I'm just
Okay.
saying, for example, the reason I voted yes on the rezoning is because right now on the east side, they are using that institutionally, and it is non-conforming zoning, cause they actually have P-mixed use right now, current zoning, so like, that would be an example of something that if everything else changes and it still goes back to the planning commission, we could still move forward with that zoning change as an example. But we'll work through all of that down the road. All right, 130425, request to amend Article 4 of the zoning ordinance of the city of Homewood to revise and update Section Z and Section GG relating to permitted uses and P-mixed use to include food and beverage drive-through with restrictions. We voted 9-0 at the planning commission, and Mr. Smith, Alex wanted us to wait on this,
Well, we
You
can't
can't
set the
adopt
public
it until
hearing.
you've adopted the zoning ordinance.
which we're doing at the
Next meeting.
28th. Okay, so do you wanna discuss this, or you want me to carry this over?
I can discuss it here and then it's to the council if it gets moved out.
Because it's a public hearing, Okay, if
So I
you're,
can discuss it now and
Okay.
then it can move out of here.
okay, and we set the
You can
public-
set the public hearing at council whenever
okay,
you can set it.
all right, go ahead.
Yeah, so this has to do with drive-throughs at Wildwood. When we changed, here's the best explanation I can give. There are a lot of moving pieces, but the best one I can give is that, prior to 2024, the zoning ordinance, considered fast food restaurants and not drive-through restaurants, and when we changed that, we call them drive-through restaurants, and we don't allow them in PMUD zoning, which is what Wildwood is, in some of the areas that are on Lake Shore, that Sanford owns. So what this does is allow drive-through restaurants at Wildwood only. The way we do that is under PMUD, we say food and beverage, drive-throughs only permitted in Wildwood Center, right there, and then we allow it with a little red R here. So food and beverage drive-throughs are restricted in PMUD, and then you go to the restriction, and it's only permitted in Wildwood. So there are a dozen or so
At
up there
least.
currently. We think it's an appropriate use for Wildwood. So that's the only thing this contemplates.
Any questions?
Question.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm not on
Yep,
the
go ahead,
committee.
yeah.
Wildwood Center is defined in our
It is.
world at both north and, I'll call it the north and south side. Someone told me that they thought that, when they did the transaction with Starbucks, that they restricted any other drive-through coffee.
That's not in Homewood.
Starbucks is.
Starbucks is.
Starbucks is
Oh.
in Homewood.
Oh, I thought it was in Birmingham. I thought down there it was in
Right
Birmingham.
across the street, Cookout is Birmingham.
Oh,
Like right
I thought
across
that
the
whole
road.
area down there past
Cookout's
the,
in Birmingham?
Cookout's Birmingham,
Yeah.
Starbucks is not.
the apartments, those
Basically,
apartments are in
Starbucks back on
Birmingham.
Spur.
Apartments were, I didn't
And-
know what
yeah.
Cookout was, okay.
Yep, so
Okay.
we read those covenants and
like it.
restrictions, and it's not a zoning issue, that's a development.
Land issue.
Right, so, yeah.
So we can pass it and then they can fight it out.
That's right.
Okay.
So I'd make a motion for, I'd make a motion without recommendation pending the public hearing.
And the public hearing will be June 9th.
Okay, do you wanna go ahead and set, you wanna make that, include that in your motion, set it for June 9th?
Yeah, to set the public hearing for June 9th.
Okay, second?
Second.
All right, second from Counselor Nellens, the motion from Counselor Baldwin, second from Counselor Nellens. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes 5-0, and without objection, we are adjourned.